that I had to throw out the other day. It was like the same vintage as this. There was no bringing it back. It was just brown with yellow flakes in it. So sometimes you get lucky, but if the lid's on it, this stuff will last forever. Another brand that we have is House of Color. So a lot of you guys know House of Color through their custom paints and stuff like that. This stuff is really good if you want to put a clear coat on top of it. It kind of has like a dull finish, as where the one shot will have a glossy finish. The one shot you can put right on top of clear coated paint and it stays glossy. It looks great forever. That's why they use it as paint, sign paint. It stays glossy forever. The House of Color stuff dies out, but you can clear coat over it. If you try to clear coat over a one shot, it'll wrinkle because it's the chemicals are just going to bite right into it. They don't want to take it well. You have to put a special hardener additive in the one shot to clear on top of it. So that's why the House of Color is really nice. Another brand, it's kind of a newer brand, Alpha Enamel. You can get this right on Amazon. Do not get any money from them, so you know. But this is just another good brand. I've started to use this. It flows really nice. It reduces really nice. So when you're palleting it, which I'll show you guys in a minute. So this stuff works really well as well, and it's a little more cost effective, cheaper than like the one shots there. So I think it's about a third of the price. Not a third, about a little bit like 2/3 the price. So it's pretty good. The House of Color, that's a little bit harder to get, but between these two, you're going to be great. And if you want to put clear, go with House of Color. So those are the basic paints that we have. Now the brushes, again, there's a ton of different brushes. So the kind of the old industry standard for pinstriping, the stuff that Ed Roth would have used or Von Dutch would have used, it would have been a MAC 00. So MACK 00. This is that old school battle axe. This is what everybody would start off with and use. So it'll hold a good amount of paint, so you can get a bunch of good lines out of it and everything like that, but not really for if you're going to do the whole side of the car. So now the 00 is just their gauge that they're using for their size, and it goes 00. If you want it even smaller, you can go to a 000. If you want it bigger, then the numbers are going to start going up. So there's a straight 0, and then it goes all the way up to, I believe, 7. And those are real fat, real long, and those hold a ton of paint. You could do the side of a fire truck 3 times with that. It'll hold that much paint in it. These, you'd be lucky to get a whole side of a car with a 00, but they work great for doing the old school pinstriping. So with these, they're made of like a red squirrel hair. So I always like to treat them. So after I use them, I'll wash them with like lacquer thinner, get all the paint out of it, and make sure that it's like right at the nut. So where all the threads holding it together, they call that the nut. Right where the nut is, you want to make sure right at the base you get all the paint out of there. So when you do it, you want to bury it down kind of and get all the paint out, or else it's going to harden up and be terrible. If they do harden up and they stay, they get all kind of like flaily, they flail up or they're curly or stuff like that. You can use regular shampoo. It's squirrel hair, so it's real hair. You can use shampoo and it'll actually smooth it out. But to store them, just use a little bit of transmission fluid or Marvel mystery oil. Just dip it in. Yep, and then that'll keep the brush nice and clean. It's oil-based, so your oil-based paint's not going to mess up with it. It's not going to do any fish eyeing or anything. And most of them will come in a little tube. So I just dip my brushes in the mystery oil, slide it in the tube, put the cap on. If you lose the cap, no big deal. But now your brush is nice and safe, and you're not going to screw up your bristles. Next time you go to use it, just dip it in a little lacquer thinner. Nice and clean, it's ready to go. So these are the Macs. These are good for, they're called a sword striping brush. And then there's another one here. This is a different brand. It's called the Kafka. And this is just a different style. So when this goes and it's loaded up with paint, it's just a pin stripe. It's just a pin line. It's super thin, one width the whole way. With this, it actually has that belly into it. So it'll curve up from the bottom, goes flat on the top. This is a sword brush. This is just a regular straight brush right here. There are 2 different styles. This one's amazing for doing flames. If I were to pinstripe that, which I'll do later, the flame fender, I will use the Kafka because I can do really tight radiuses with it. They can almost go into a circle. So I'll get more into that with the two different brushes when I start going.
What's that one called, Matt?
This is Kafka, K-A-F-K-A, or F-F-A.
Kafka brush?
K-A-F.
I should have brought my glasses. Kafka brush.
Yep.
I'm sending notes to myself, sorry.
Nice. So this we're just going to go over the. I mean, there's tons of different brushes. There's lettering brushes that look like this for doing smaller letters. There's bigger ones for bigger letters. We're not going to get into lettering. That's for Sean to do at a different time. So basically, well, we have a bunch of panels set up. All right. I will be going over to Eric's car, and I'll be doing Eric's car in a little bit, just on the radiator shell on top of the headlights. So we have little plexiglass pieces that we have here. We have them all gridded up for you guys to try. We have a couple extra brushes and stuff like that. So we're going to be letting anybody who wants to try it can try it. But I'm just going to show you on this piece right here. I don't have an easel or anything, so if you guys just want to, if you want to come over and look, don't even worry about it. Come right over. But I'll show you how I like to set things up. So if you can see on these panels here, they're all gridded up. All right. So kind of a good habit to get into is at least setting yourself a center line when you start. So the way I like to do it is I have these two pencils. So they're called China markers, or grease pencils they call them. So it's kind of for doing ceramic works or just like glass work and stuff like that. This stuff it'll write down. It's super soft, so it's not going to scratch the substrate. So it's not going to scratch the paint of the car that you're putting it on. And then if you want to, you can wipe it just with a paper towel. It'll come right off. So it's not going to harm the paint. And if you happen to paint over it and you miss it, you can just wipe it off, and it's not going to destroy the paint that you just put down either. So these are really good to get a center line or just a baseline of where you want to work off of. Obviously, black for a darker color, white for a lighter color. It's not going to matter. It's your preference. You can do black over black. It's fine with me. Whatever you guys can see, that's what will work the best. So we'll start with the black panel here, and I'm just going to put a center line down the center. I'm going to work off of that. Now the reason I have grids for these ones is basically the whole thing about the pinstriping is symmetry. So if you do something on the left, you want the right to match. So that's why we're going to work off the grid. So if I take one of the grids, I'm just going to do it in the pencil. So if I'm going to start in the middle, what we're going to want to do is, I'm a righty, so I'm going to start on the left side of the panel. Because if I start on the right side of the panel, I'm not going to be able to look over to my left and see, because my arm's going to be covering what I'm doing. So I'm not, I'm going to come over here, my hand's going to be in the way. So if I start on the left, then I can go back to the right and I can see what I did on the left when I'm doing the right. So I'll mark off here, and I always start at the top and pull down. So what we'll do is we'll go from the top of this corner, and we'll go 2 squares over right to the corner. So if I'm doing that, I can kind of judge off of this one how far I went over. So right about there, and come down, and I'm going to go to that corner. So then just continue on with that. And you're just building lines. So just start building lines, and then all you're doing is matching your one side to the next side. So as you can see, it's already building up super fast.
I like that already. Yeah, me too.
Right? So sometimes with this stuff, less is more. I would do a little bit more, keep it tighter if I was going to go that small. I'd keep it super tight if I was going to only do a few lines. With this here, we could build it out, we can bring it all the way out there, and we can do more on the bottom and more up top. I like to do 2 colors when I do it, 2 to 3. Three's a good amount. 4, you're starting to add on layers. They look really cool if you can do them right, but you have to really work because you're going to be doing a lot of weaving of colors up and over each other and then back and forth. So sometimes it gets a little muddy and a little clouded, but if you can do 4, awesome. That's great. So with this, that's what we'll do there. Somebody can go over that when we start it. But that's basically it. You're just building lines, keeping it similar, and you're going one line at a time, one line at a time, one line at a time, one line at a time. It keeps it super easy. Yep, that's the trick. That's how you don't get muddled up. You don't get too far ahead of yourself and say, oh no, how did I get to here now? Because you're always there. You're right there, back and forth. So with this panel, I'm going to measure it off and we get 11, so 5.5. We're going to do.
Do you have signature colors?
No, not yet. Nope.
No, what I mean is there 2 or 3 colors that you love working with all
No.
the time?
Nope.
You go by the paint on the person's vehicle and their preference.
That's exactly it. You go by, if somebody says, I don't care what to do, just do what you want to do. Yeah, you can do whatever color you think is going to complement. If, say it's a black car and they have red wheels. Okay, well, I know that I can do white, red, I can do tan and red, I could do, if you want to go crazy, you can do like green and red, bright green, lime green and red and stuff like that. Or you can even tone it down, do like a violet or a purple and red. If they say I hate red, well, you got red wheels, but whatever, right? So you can just yeah. And sometimes there's colors that you don't think will work well. For instance, I did a lavender purple motorcycle one time, and I did bright orange pinstriping on it, and it looked fantastic. Like it was
That's
wild.
They're
Just
complementary colors.
exactly. Yep.
So they should all get a color wheel then.
Yes, color wheels would be great. Yep.
Go back to art school.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I mean, the color is whatever the people want.
But that's
kinda
what's going to make it pop.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So like this right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a red and a white. So I have my center line, and now we're going to start mixing the paint. So I have the paint cracked open, and what we're going to want to use on this is, it's pretty hot out today. When I used to do it at car shows and stuff like that, it was super hot. So this paint was like hitting these cars, and it was drying as I was putting it on almost. So you want to have a good reducer that's going to keep that paint soft and wet while you're putting it on through the duration, but then it'll dry up within 20 minutes to a half an hour or something like that, so somebody can take the car away. So this, we're just using regular old automotive paint reducer. This is a very high temp paint reducer, so it's going to keep the paint super soft for a good amount of time. So I just put a little bit of it into my cup, and that's pretty much about how much I'll need for this whole job. And then I just have a cup of paint thinner to clean my brush. So I have some of the disposable palettes up there, and honestly, the best thing to use is a magazine. So glossy type paper, it's not going to absorb the paint, so it's not going to dry up and start. You're going to counteract yourself if you're using like a piece of newspaper, because all your paint and all your reducer is going to soak into that paper. With this, it just stays on the top of it, so it holds it out nice. So you can dip your brush and just start paddling it out. So if you're looking at that right there, it's skipping. That's what we don't want. We don't want skipping, because if I try to do with that onto this, it's just going to bounce around like that. It's not going to look good. So that's where our reducer comes into play. So now we can take and put a little bit more paint on our palette and dip it right in. And now you can start working it, spinning it, and you're going to work that reducer into the paint to make it all start to flow for you. And you can feel the drag of the brush. You'll feel it. Sometimes it'll start skipping. You just use a little bit more reducer, and you want it to feel nice and smooth. You want to have like a creamy peanut butter as opposed to a chunky peanut butter, right? Like they have a different feel. So you want to reduce it out so that you have a really good pull on it. So that and you're loading up that brush, you have it all the way up to the top of the nut right here. And when I pull it off, the paint's not dripping. right? So see the shape of the brush, how it's nice and straight. On the Mac, you'll have a good belly into it and a straight on the top. So with this, if I come in, so that's going to have a good pull now. So right there, as opposed to over here where I just took it out of the cup, it has that nice straight line because the paint is good and soft and it's flowing, so you're able to pull it a good long distance. You want to have it be runny, but not runny. I know it's hard to understand. A lot of people, when they used to do this, they would actually take the paint, they take the brush. When they're loading up the brush, instead of doing it on the palette, well, they would do it on the palette, they'd get it loaded up, but then they'd run it through their fingers. So a lot of the old school painters that do that, their fingers are all tons of paint all over them, and they're actually feeling the viscosity of the paint, feeling how runny the paint is through their finger, and they could tell at that point how to do it. It's wild, but that's how some of the older guys did it, and it worked out really well. So we're gonna get it, and you don't want it too thin either, because if it's too thin, then it's gonna go on your panel and it's gonna look like crap. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start at the top of this. I'm gonna work my way down, and we're just gonna put some white on it, and then we'll go with red after. And then once we're done with that, we'll load up some of the brushes, and you guys can try it on these panels. So bear with me again. A little rusty at it, so we're gonna do our best to make it good. But so again, I'm gonna start at the top. Pull, and you only want to pull down. You want to go one way. You can't go back over it like, you know, Bob Ross. We're not Bob Ross. We're not making happy trees. One direction, nice even strokes. When I do it, I hold it at the nut. So on the nut on this one, it's right on the silver, on the band clamp that's holding the bristles in. So I want to hold it. I'm holding it with my 2 fingers. All right. You want to hold it with your 2 fingers because you want to be able to pivot it. So like that, I'm spinning it. So that's actually going to help you get around corners. So if you're super straight and super stiff with it, and you're gonna go, and I'm gonna use my pinky as a little stand, a little guide, because that's gonna keep the pressure and the brush stroke at the same distance the whole way. So I'm gonna use my pinky as a brace, basically, to keep my finger off the table. So line myself up, and then if I do a nice straight line, that's pretty easy. But if I go and I want to come off of this, and I want to start doing a circle, which of course this one's going to make me a liar. This brush is a lot easier than this one. So if I try to do the same with this, what it's going to do is the brush is going to start flicking out like that, and the bristles are going to kick out, and it's going to make a fan pattern, and you're not going to be able to get a nice round edge on it. So that's where, like with the Mac, at the green of the nut, you want to hold it there, and you want to use that as a pivot. So if I came in on this, I'm going to come in the same way, but when I get to that arch, I'm going to start rolling my fingers like this. I'm going to start rolling it like that to start getting that belly to come around and come back up. So, and you're going to be constantly, especially with me talking like this, you're going to be constantly reloading and repaleting your paint to try and keep that viscosity, try to keep that paint nice and wet the whole time. So it's not dripping. Looks like it's okay. We'll be okay with it. So I'm gonna come in, I'm just gonna do a nice little easy diamond pattern at the top, and we're gonna kind of work off of that. So and when you're pulling, you want it to you want all your ends to end at the same length. Because if you don't, that's just gonna start really messing you up. I'm keeping this one pretty tight. I like them kind of tight and clean like that. I know a lot of guys that can get their lines like super crisp. Those guys are wild. But you keep your lines tight, and then, you know, I don't like to do too much. I like to do just enough to keep it clean. So left to right, and then I did this, and I'm gonna start building off of that. So. If I have to go back over, you want to start at the top of your line, pull down, because otherwise you can run into like a little skipping situation. But literally like watching paint dry. This isn't as exciting as the flames.
I can't wait to get home. I'm gonna stripe
Right?
everything in my house. My wife's gonna be pissed.
The washer, the dryer.
I can't wait to stripe the refrigerator.
Refrigerator, I'm gonna start with mailboxes.
Yeah.
I'm going big. Dishwasher, refrigerator, cabinet.
Is it a lot different when you're painting on a vehicle versus the flat surface?
It is, yeah.
Takes a lot different technique. So practice flat first.
Practice flat first definitely helps. Yeah, cars are difficult. Hoods, deck lids, trunks, headlights, super easy. It's when you get to the sides, that's where it gets hard. That's where a brush like the Kafka will work a lot better. You have a little bit more side control. The Mac stays pretty rigid, and it's kind of hard when it's loaded up. It'll want to flop over. So the Mac works really good, but yeah, it is different. And then you have to compensate for curves too. So curves of the deck lid or curves of the hood. Is the hood flat? Is the hood not? You know, and then coming down on sides and stuff like that. That's where it gets a little difficult too. But yeah, it's all relative, right?
So is that like a liner brush?
Yeah. Yep. This one would be like a liner stripe brush.
Mm-hmm.
The Macs are more of a sword brush.
Mm-hmm.
And you can buy these on Amazon?
Yep. So the
It goes to neighborhood.
Yep. So we actually have a little
Kids decorating the street signs.
Bambi printed up a nice little kind of like a products list of the stuff that we're using basically. So if you need that.
Did you put any tattoo guns on there? Because we're gonna start
Yeah.
doing that too.
Practice on the.
Well, the thing that's good about this, Eric, is if you get good enough, you can trade your tattoo. on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Into the refrigerators.
I got it on my shoulder. It came out
You didn't
good.
do it yourself.
No, a tattoo guy did it.
So you see, we're starting to build up. We're getting a little bit more,
Wow,
and it's just crossing over. So
that looks good.
you know, basically you're just bringing down, you're pulling your lines long, straight, crossover, not over. Sometimes what you can do is like this right here, this is all one piece, right? So what I can do is I can actually come in now and I can actually start building off another line. So the whites won't be connected. But what I can do is then I can connect them through with the next color. So the next color, when you bring in, you don't have to cross over. Sometimes if it's cold out and you're painting, you're gonna do two colors. Sometimes you can cross over the lines and your color will drag through. So say you put your white down first, you're doing a red on top. Sometimes you can drag the red through and it'll actually leave a little streak. So you kind of want it to set up while you're setting up your next color and stuff like that. So today I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that too much. But
I like when
At
it
least
looks like
not
they
on
win.
Eric's car.
yeah. He doesn't know it. I actually have stickers for it. So.
Decals.
Yeah.
Yep. So with this one, I'm just gonna start a whole new. And I'm not really twisting it when I'm pulling like short curves like this. I'm just kind of following the line. I'm moving my elbow, right? My wrist stays pretty rigid. I'm not really moving the wrist, especially if you're starting to do like a flame. You don't really need to move your wrist. What you want to do is you want to roll it in your fingers. That's where you're going to get your turn, is in the fingers. Now this line right here, if you see it, kind of did it on purpose. It's a little too wet. So this is what will happen if you have too much thinner in your paint. It'll actually start to run, it'll start to ghost out, it'll start to flail out. So that's where the paletting comes into play, where you really want that paint to have that right mixture of reducer to paint. Otherwise, you're gonna start getting a little run like that. That's why I'm constantly over here paletting it out, constantly dipping it in my reducer and trying to find that sweet spot of, is it too thick, is it not, is it good? And there's no real way either that I can tell you, like, yeah, that's good. You have to feel it. Yep, you gotta feel it, you gotta know, you gotta have the practice, and you'll know when it's right when you know it's right, because you've been doing it so much. And you know when it's right when it doesn't look like that, right? So that's kind of how you can tell. So that's why we're doing the practice stuff before we go over to Eric's car and ruin it.
Thank you.
We got this. This is pretty good. We're gonna leave it like this. We're gonna put our next color on top of it. We're gonna build on top of that. If you look at this line right here, this is another one where it's kind of a little learning tool. You can see that there's like a little ripply in it, all right? That is not keeping constant pressure down. You gotta keep that constant, smooth, flowing pressure, and that's what's gonna keep your lines nice and tight and clean and everything like that. Keep everything uniform. And same with the pinky. The pinky, I'm holding it. I'm trying to keep my fingers in the same spot on the brush, all right? And I'm trying to keep my pinky finger the same distance from the panel at all times. That way I can kind of keep everything similar and everything the same width and the same heights and everything like that. And you know, we could go on we could load this whole panel up if we wanted to with pinstripes, and it's just crossing over, crossing over, crossing over. I've done everything from guitars, motorcycles, helmets, blenders,
Refrigerators?
toaster. I did a toaster. Yeah, refrigerators. I've done refrigerators.
Yeah, that's sick.
We've even done toilet seats. So like,
That's cool,
you
too.
can anything that sticks to paint. You know, paint will stick to you. You can do it on. So
Yeah.
dog, you can do the dog. Yep. So.
All I know is Becky's away for the week. It's gonna look totally different.
Right, so we're gonna clean it up. I just got the paint thinner. I'm just dipping it kind of on the side, kind of hitting it on the side, trying to work all that white paint out of there. So if you look at it, you can see, if you can kind of see close, the white paint's sitting at the base, right at the nut. If that dries up, it's gonna dry up and it's gonna ruin that paint. So we want to ruin the brush. So we want to keep cleaning it out. We want to get as much of it as we can, and we're gonna run it through. Just run it through to pull some of that out, and we're gonna go right in our reducer even. We're gonna clean that nut out. Get it really nice and clean. You don't want it to look like there's any white still on that brush. So once we think we've got it all out, kind of the same thing, just pull the same, always the same direction. I'm just letting go, pulling, pulling, pulling. And then when you get to it to be about pretty dry, then you want to start running it through your hand to get all that reducer and cleaner out of there. Yep, yep.
Do you ever trim yours?
I-
You just throw them away when they're.
The Max, I trim the Max.
Okay.
Max is super good to trim. You can custom contour the belly
Right.
out of it to get whatever you want out of it and
I
stuff
do
like
that with watercolor brushes.
Yep,
You know, when you beat them up.
yep,
And you
yeah.
just make them for something else.
Yep, pretty much, yep. So these Kafka ones are really nice. They keep the right shape. They kind of always hold that same line that you want. So these ones I don't really trim out. The Max, they're an older technology brush. They're red squirrel hair, so they're natural hair, so it's gonna act differently than the synthetic stuff. So, but yes, you can trim them to get the right shape that you want.
Those poor squirrels.
Those course, I know. So we're gonna do, we're gonna do violet instead. Lavender. Why not? Change it up. So this is the House of Color paint. So it's gonna act very similar. So we have both paints. We're gonna use both of them. This stuff stays pretty thick. Not as thick as the one shot. It does tend to stay a little bit thinner. Doesn't seem to skin over as much as the one shot does either, because it's not an oil based as much as the one shot is. This is more of a urethane base, so that's why you can clear coat over it, because it's the same as a urethane clear coat. It's the same material. So
You would use the House of Color versus the one shot on those flames. Would you do like a
Yeah,
blueprint.
yeah, that would,
Clear over that.
yep, that would get the house of color. Like I said, you can get a hardener for the house for the one shot. It's just it's way easier to use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's already been made.
and with the one shot, you have to make sure you have the mix ratio down right with the hardener so that it doesn't over catalyze while you're painting.
Yeah.
Therefore, house of color, super easy to use for clearing over. So with this, same thing. We're just going to palette it out. You can use the same reducer that you did with the white. It'll work the same, even though it's a different kind of paint. So this stuff, it actually, from the can, sometimes this stuff is pretty thin. It's thin enough almost that you can use it right out of the can sometimes, depending on how long you've had it, how long, how much air's got to it, a couple little variables. But with this stuff, you only need a little tiny bit of reducer. You don't need to put a ton of it in like I did with the one shot. So I'm gonna start paleting that out. And again, you don't want the skip. If I'm gonna run it along the panel, like I just ran it along the palette, and I'm going very little pressure. It's not skipping. If it's skipping, it's too thick. Yeah, you gotta add more into it. So you wanna keep that nice and thin so that we can have nice, clean, even lines.
And it doesn't matter that you have white in that
Nope.
from cleaning your
Nope.
brush.
No, it's so opaque and it's
Yeah.
not thick enough that it's not
Okay.
really gonna mess it up at all. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So this is pretty good. It looks pretty good in the brush. And then with this now, so I already did a diamond at the top to start my piece off. So now what I can do is I can do a multitude of things. I can either go straight across a little line and then I can bring it down and then work off of that. I could do a little half moon. You can go in under. You can do a waxing or waning moon, whichever one you want, up, down. You can do, again, it's all just artwork, right? So you can do whatever you want. You can put Mickey Mouse on the top, doesn't really matter. Whatever you want to put up there, it's going to be great. So with this one,
Would you start with your lighter colors first and then move on to a darker color? Or?
I tend to, yeah. Personally, when I put the white on top of things, it's white, so it overpowers the purple or the red or the green or whatever. So normally I'll do my darker color on top, lighter color on bottom. Seems to work out nice that way. Sometimes you can cross weave them
Yeah.
too.
Similar on the flanks,
Yep.
Just start out with white and then
Yeah.
yellow and then.
Yep,
you know,
yep.
yeah.
Fade your way back. Yep, exactly. Yep. So, yeah, with this one, we're just going to start layering it the opposite way now with our other color, and then.
Cool as that. This, watching Pinstriping this at the same time. Wow. That's cool.
You can pinstripe anything.
Do you watch Pinstripers on YouTube?
Oh God, yeah.
panel. So you're at a car show or even your own car. You're gonna start doing this on it. Biggest thing, a really good wax and grease remover. Some very soft towels, like these are like super soft paper towels, or even just regular paper towels that are softer. A good wax and grease remover and like a good waterborne type cleaner. Wipe off that area. If people have been loading wax on that car forever, it's gonna wanna separate, it's gonna look like weird. So you wanna have that area be clean. A good waterborne cleaner, you can use like a good glass cleaner, it works fine. And then just any kind of wax and grease remover that you can just find at any AutoZone or anything like that works as well even. So cleaning that up will definitely help keep your paint on the panel. But yeah, you can paint right over that grease pencil and it'll be absolutely fine. Yep.
And you can wax over it after a certain time?
Yep, so after it's dry, usually it takes about a good 4 to 5 hours. If you're out in the sun on a good sunny car show, it'll dry right up, but
Yeah.
all come with the how warm or hot
Sure.
it is,
But
stuff
then you
like
can
that.
just throw a coat of wax.
Yep, you can go right over it. Probably wouldn't like bear on it with a hose when you're cleaning it off because you never know what the paint is underneath, and we're not scuffing it. But this paint will etch into it a little bit.
Oh.
And then if you ever do it and you hate it, and your car has a good like base coat, clear coat paint job, a little bit of easy off oven cleaner. Let it sit for a few seconds, or and you can wipe it right off. So that works as well. Also, rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol works as well too. So when we do these, we have some rubbing alcohol here that we can just wipe them off and just start over.
What percentage do you use on the rubbing alcohol? Because it's 70 and 91 proof.
70, you're just going to work a little bit harder to get it off. That's
So you
basically.
use 90 on it too?
Yep,
and it
90 will
just-
work. Yep, but the 70 will work as well. Yep.
Did you do denatured alcohol?
I've never used it, so I don't know. I don't know about that
That
part.
means that to take like pine pitch off and it doesn't take the finish or clear
Yep.
coat off of anything.
Yeah. So when
Probably work.
pine sap falls on a car. Oh, by the way, cheater, if you get sap on your car, yeah, just rubbing alcohol. Take it right off. Don't use Brillo pads. Actually, get that. Use the Brillo pads. And then come see us. We'll fix it for you.
Hand sanitizer works good. Fine.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, because the alcohol.
Yeah. Leave on a whole bunch of pine trees.
Leave the bourbon in the cabinet and use the rubbing alcohol.
All right, so basically we would keep layering like this, layering down, and then I start at the top, I'll keep it narrow, and I'll start to get wider pyramid style at the bottom, bring them out, start going crazy at the bottom. So this is basically how it will be. I'm not gonna sit here for an hour and do this and bore you guys. We're gonna start trying over here. So I got a couple of different palettes. I got latex gloves if people want, or if they're not latex, they're the neoprene, so if you're allergic to latex, don't worry. I get some of that. I got some paints, and we're gonna try it. So, anybody wants to try it? I think we got 3 brushes, so we can try that.
I can't wait.
Jump in.
So, how about halfway? Yep, perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
And then start drawing the lines.
Yep. Wait, white work? Sure. Okay.
One direction, right?
Yep, one direction. So right about halfway.
And I saw him.
Use that. So now, Eric, you're gonna need a little bit of the reducer, but not as much.
Yeah, so it's still dragging.
Yep. Yep. So,
Dip it, just the brush in this?
yep. So dip. Yep. So you wanna. Yep. Yep. There you go. Put it right on that. And now what you want to do is put your brush, kind of tip it to the side, rotate it to the side. Yep. So you want to go right like this, and you want to pull down.
Oh,
And you
okay.
want to load that brush.
Load the
right
brush up, okay.
Load it right up.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
All the way down to that nub where we're gonna hold
Yep.
right here.
Yep. Yep. All the way down. Get that loaded up with paint. All right. Yep, and then do that. And then try to bring it further up the brush, the paint. You want to try to load that brush right up. There you go. Eric, look at that. So
Yeah,
much-
but they're wicked thick.
That's
Too
what
much
happens.
pressure.
Yep, too much pressure. It could be a little wet too.
Oh,
So
okay.
you want to try paling it a little bit more, get it a little tiny bit thicker.
Eric's gonna do his own car?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yep.
It's a difference. You know, like the curve.